In this video, I'm going to show you the two different ways that you can start your make.com automations, whether you want to start them manually or have them happen automatically. I'll also show you a very good way that you can run automations without having to enter data over and over and over again. So if you have a form that actually triggers an automation and you don't want to keep entering this data each and every time you want to test your automation, this would be a great method to know and actually use. So let's start off from the very beginning. Most people will actually have something, let's say we have tools and we have a set multiple variables module. So we have x equals 1 and we have, let's say, y equals 2. And they want this to run every so often. So they can, first of all, run this once. And when you run this once, this will obviously execute what is in there. The problem is that this means that you need to press the run once button for this thing to actually go through, to actually happen. In reality, when you have a system that is live, you don't want to go back into make and then hit run once and then run this once and then do it again and over again it goes. What you want to do is have this run every so often. So let's say you want this to run every 15 minutes, or you want this to run just once, or you want to run this every day of the week at a specific time. Specific days of the week, whether it's Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, at a specific time. And you also have advanced settings here. Maybe you want this to run on specified dates. So it is also something that you can do as well. Maybe you have something that only runs, I don't know, on your birthday, which is one day of the year. So this will only run on February 4th, and that's pretty much it. You can also choose when, like if you have a start and then end date as well. So these are options that make.com offers in terms of running things on specific intervals. So this is in some situations, it's the thing that makes sense because you want this to run at a certain time every single X amount of time. Let's say you have an RSS feed that every morning before you wake up checks to see if there are new videos released by your favorite creators. So in that case, having something like an RSS watch feed items might make sense. So you enter the URL of the feed right there and you say, run me this. I don't know if I can do this actually. A link to a varied RSS feed. Yeah, not really. So, and you say run me this every day at 6 a.m. So this will run every morning at 6 a.m. So this is scheduled but not active. Would you like to activate it now? So activate that. Obviously you need to have something there. Once you do that, this will be switched on and then it will happen every morning at the time you set. So something similar to that. Now, this is running things at a scheduled time. The second way is to use what is known as a webhook. So in order to create this, you need to go to webhook and you choose a custom webhook. You hit add, you can also give it a name, and you hit save. And you get this URL right here, which you can copy to your clipboard. So now, whenever I run this once, this will be listening. Save this. So now this will be listening indefinitely until someone accesses that URL. If someone accesses that URL, this will stop running and it will tell me the information about that webhook request. In my case, I didn't pass any information at all, so it's not very useful. But if we run this once, and now I pass some information, so I put a question mark, which means I'm going to pass some parameters, and each parameter needs to have a key and a value. So for example, the key might be x equals to 1, so that's the first key value, and then y equals to 2. So if I hit enter, I get accepted here, and I get the information that I passed through my browser to the webhook. So that's the first thing. Then a webhook can also return something in return, or return something. So you can have a webhook response, and you can have, for example, a 301, which is a redirect. So you can say whenever someone makes a request to this webhook, then let's take them to google.com. So like this, if I run this again, and I put that in again, and I pass something different this time, or even an additional parameter set equals 3, I would then get this google.com. What I actually need to do is make sure that this is formatted correctly. So I need to add code that actually helps with the redirect, which I need to do as follows. So actually what I need to do is add a key here, location, and then this should be like that. So now, if I run this again, hit enter, I should now be taken to Google. Plus, this gets the information that I passed as parameters. So this is a webhook and a webhook response. Similar to a webhook, another way to potentially start an automation would be through a custom mailhook. So this is similar to a webhook, but instead of getting a URL, you get this email address. So there's a bunch of numbers and letters at hook.eu2.me.com. So this will trigger when an email message goes out to this webhook URL. So if I copy this and run this once, what I can do is go to Gmail or any email provider and send an email to this email address. The subject is hello there, and just say hi there. This is a quick email to check how you're doing. In a second, this will receive the webhook or the mail hook to be exact. So waiting, and this appeared. So I have the date, the subject, the text, and the HTML content. So now I can do whatever I want to with this. Before we move on to the way to trigger this stuff in a kind of automated fashion without having to enter things over and over, I'll just make a note about this. So this is the thing that will indicate which module actually starts the flow. So if before I was speaking about this and I wanted this specific module to be the start, I drag this onto that module. If I want this to be the start, then I need to drag it there. And as you can see, this will then change the color to that of the module itself. And in some cases, you get this lightning icon, which means that this will trigger as a webhook. So when data comes in, when you have time-based stuff, you get that changed to a clock. Also with webhooks, you can also run once, or you can enable this so it will run every time when data arrives. So by turning on the switch, you can get that to happen each time data arrives. So that's also an important point to know. So let's build a webhook here. And let's say that, for example, in our webhook here, let's copy that. Let's open a text editor. And let's say that we want to pass a number of parameters. And for this, let's just use Claude to help. So let's say I have a webhook and I want to pass multiple parameters to it in this format. So key equals value and key2 equals value 2, etc. Give me a list of 20 key values attached to the URL, to the webhook URL. So here is going to create information about John, right? So we have a bunch. We have the webhook here in the first line, and then we have information about John. So user ID, username, email, timestamp. So we get a bunch of information. And imagine that we're putting all this or filling it manually through a form. So this means that if we were to run this once, so let's run this once, and let's actually do something with it. So I'm going to remove the response, and I'm going to, let's say, create an email draft with this. Okay, so I'm going to say new employee, and let's say that I want to pass all the information right here. So what I'm going to do to get this data is just run this once and then paste all that URL. So now I get all of this right here, which means that I can also map that in the email. So new values, and then I can pass all of this information here. So now I have all the stuff right here. Okay, and now I would get an email with all that stuff. But let's say that instead of just passing this as a URL, so what we did right here, we have a form that we're filling in each and every time. So each time manually we're filling in all those 20 data points in order to trigger this webhook here. Which, as you can imagine, if we're testing this multiple times, will waste a lot of time and effort. So instead of having to enter all this information each and every time, there is a workaround, and that is to use this program or this application called Postman.com. So once you sign up, which is free, you can go to your workspace, and all you need to do is the following. So here you go to plus, you choose body, and you choose row. You go back to make, and you need two pieces of information. You need the webhook URL, so you copy that to the clipboard, and then save changes. If you go to history, details, you just need to click on that icon and choose download output bundle. And when you choose that, you can now run this automation without having to fill in that form manually each and every time. So like this, if I run this once, I can go to Postman, paste in all that information, paste in my webhook URL, and I can just press send. And now, instead of having to fill in the form each and every time, I can change whatever I want here as well. So this is a quick hack or a quick get around, instead of having to fill in a form or some type of input each and every time. So now instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe I put 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 as the user ID. I hit send. This will say accepted. If I go back to make now, I get the updated information and everything else that was the same. So you can run this as many times as you want to test this out without having to fill in whatever is triggering this right here. And now this will also have the contents based on the information that I just passed. So this is a quick way to get around having to fill that form or whatever it might be multiple times. So yeah, this is how you basically run automations in Make.com, whether you run it once or run it immediately if it's a webhook, whether you run it once or you run it at a specific time, whether when it's a time-based module, or I also showed you how to use this Postman.com to not have to enter data manually each and every time, but rather use the output bundle, which is what we saw under history right here, from previous runs, in addition with the webhook URL, so that you can test this as many times as needed before it's out in production. So I hope you found that useful. If you did, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. And if you want more information on how to get better with Make.com, I have 2 ways I can help you. Number 1 is, if you're a business owner, I'd love to schedule a free consultation with you to see what you're currently doing with AI and automation and see how to make that better, how to scale, and how to use this technology to your advantage. If you're someone that wants to learn Make.com and how things actually work, the back engine of Make.com, I also have a free newsletter that you can join through the link in the description. So there are 2 links that you can check out depending on which one you are. So I hope to see you in the next video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day as well. Cheers.